Hey everybody, welcome to the 12th episode. With this one, I'm going to kind of fly by the seat of my pants, although I've been kind of thinking about this one for a while. We're going to cover Marvel Superheroes, the role-playing game by TSR, starting with the basic set from 1984. I'm going to talk about pretty much the basic books. I'm going to touch on a few of the modules and show we'll talk about the box set itself, the yellow box set. With this game, like I said, this was 84 when it came out. This is also when I first started collecting comics, so I remember seeing it because going to, like the hobby shop, I remember seeing in 84. They just had opened up a new hobby shop in my hometown, Rochester, right across the street from our high school. Which is called Joe's Hobby Shop, and most of it were models, like model airplanes, model cars, a lot of RC stuff, radio control boats, radio control airplanes. The very back section was all model trains. It wasn't a big store; it was in a strip mall. But it was a medium-sized store, like the size of maybe a Bed Bath and Beyond, something like that. I'm trying to think of things, even like a drugstore, like a Rite Aid that would be in a strip mall. And in the kind of the almost back section, that's where they had all their role playing game stuff. They had, Dungeons and Dragons, that whole wall of miniatures, like Ral Partha miniatures and whatnot. They had these bins where all the modules were. Underneath the bins of the modules were a lot of the box sets all lined up. A lot of war games. Learned about a lot of war games there. I found a lot of the main games at Joe's Hobby Shop. They weren't a super specialty shop. They didn't carry a lot of stuff, but they pretty much had all of the main things that you could find. And they handled pretty much any TSR product that was available at the time. So that opened, I believe, in the summer of 85 when I just got out of the 6th grade. So I was 11, going to turn 12 in July. So, I remember I was already into the comics, like I said, Secret Wars. I won't get into this one yet. It's a separate video, but I was getting into the official handbook of the Marvel Universe Deluxe Edition, which came out I think towards the end of the summer of 85. But I was already still, on the Dungeons and Dragons kick thing. I kind of was looking for something else around 85, something else to play, and I came across a bunch of times, but I really sat there and took a serious look at the Marvel Superhero game by TSR, which is the same people that made Dungeons and Dragons at the time, and I thought, oh, okay, and it pretty much featured a lot of the same artwork, a lot of the same. It had that classic Marvel style, the house style that you saw in everything at the time. And that's what really appealed to me. I love the classic house style of Marvel, whether it's whoever's drawing, it's Buscema, it's John Byrne, who you name it, John Romita Sr., any of those people. I just loved that style. And this game, pretty much the bulk of the visuals of this game was all from that. The main set, which I'll show you here. I don't have mine anymore. I've had 3 in my lifetime. I had the original one that I bought. And then I don't know what happened to that one. I bought another one in like the early 2000s, late 90s. And I had the late 90s one. I bought it at a comic convention at an Extravacon at a Knights of Columbus Hall. Bought it for like $12. It was used. It was opened. I sold the dice, everything. Everything I think was unpunched at the time, like the tokens and everything. So I rebought the set then, and then I also rebought the set about 10 years ago, and then again when they needed some money, I ended up selling off that was one of the ones that went, including the advanced set, which that's a separate video. I'll get to the advanced set later, but we're going to cover just the basic set and the basic modules and supplements that go to it. So I did, again, I took the PDF and I printed it out, made the end side. So it pretty much looks like the box. Again, I was looking for maybe a yellow binder to put it all together, and you had the books in there. Got them all printed out. You know, I've got the I'll go through the books on the screen of the PDF, but yeah, all the books in there. I've also printed out so my set would essentially be unpunched as well. I've got the map, I've got the token cards I printed on the cardstock, you know, for the counters. I've got the map. I think this map's assembled. Yeah, this map is assembled. It's a double-sided map, but I didn't want to print it double-sided, so I made 2 separate maps. And then, yeah, here's the 2 separate maps. And they're all to scale. I mean, they're all to the size of the original. These are the character cards. They give you 4 characters to choose from for the little sample adventure, Day of the Octopus. And these were double-sided, so like their stats are on the back. This thing kind of made like a folder that went around the actual module, so the cover would be back here. But I'll show you all this stuff. It's laid out pretty well with the PDF. But I've got this for now, so I don't really care to buy a 4th set, and they go for astronomical money now. So that'll do me. You know, I'm not playing it currently right now, and you know, I'll get to this about the end about trying to find people to play it. But let me go into the PDF itself. So I'll bring that up on the other screen. There is the main box set cover, and then I'll put me back in there so you can see me again. So yeah, so you had this. The first book in it was called the Battle Book, and this basically gave you a basic primer of the rules. Told you how to do combat. It told you how all role-playing games, you know, would give you the quick skinny on how a role-playing game works. You know, get together with your friends and sit at the table with this nice, attractive, blonde-haired girl that you'll never see play with you. And, you know, Spider-Man kind of guides you through it, and he tells, you know, what's a hero, that type of thing. It's very Stan Lee-y. It's very, you know, Excelsior, you know, very True Believers. It's very like that. If you're not into that, you know, you might want to just take it with a grain of salt. I don't really like Stan Lee's that whole banter very much. I know it's very Marvel. I know it's very iconic, but it really gets on my nerves quick. But anyway, Spider-Man kind of talks about it. It's more of a Spider-Man talking too. You know, it's Stan Lee's, you know, obviously his voice. He goes through the heroes and stuff, and he, you know, tells you how the stats work, everything, and he gives you the feat. You know, he talks about the feats. He talks about all this stuff. How to move on the map, about areas. Marvel superheroes, this version used a very different type of movement or mapping system. Normally you'd have like a square, you know, grid square, inch squares, and you know, your little counters or miniatures, whatever you're using, would use the inch squares. You know, we're using hexagons, but all around that. Marvel used what's called areas, and an area could be an area as small as this room. An area could be as small as like a quadrant outside, like in like a street block. Like I think on the city map, an area would be the intersection at a, you know, a major road in like downtown New York. That's one area. So if you're in that area, you can get into melee combat with anybody else in that area. If you wanted to shoot somebody with a blast, you know, ray, or you had a weapon, you'd have to see what the range is in areas. And if you could fire like 5 areas away, well, you could put 5 areas away, whether it's down the street, you know, across the field, whatever. But movement is a little different in this than it is in a traditional Dungeons and Dragons game. Thing takes you through, it's clobbering time. He takes you through, you know, combat and how that works. I love the combat system in this game. I'll get to it because it'll be on the last page. It talks about grappling, charging. You know, in the game, if you're dropped below your health, which is essentially your hit points, you're unconscious. The characters rarely ever get killed unless you're specifically trying to kill somebody, and you have to roll really high. I believe it's you're using percentile dice. Use 2 10-sided dice, percentile, 2 different colors, one for your tens, one for your ones digits. And I believe you have to literally roll 100, you know, double zeros, with a specific strength against a specific endurance or a specific, you know, a counter ability, and you have to roll spot on to get a kill. But you specifically have to be doing a kill maneuver, like you're shooting somebody with a gun. You're shooting an ordinary person with a gun, or person who doesn't have any kind of body armor or superpower that protects them from a gunshot. That's considered a kill. Very rare. You rarely ever use them. Most of the time, it's you're picking up like a street post or a mailbox and chucking it at somebody, or like the rhino charging at somebody. And you want to slam somebody into a wall to knock them out, knock them unconscious. So that's basically how it ran. I mean, the Punisher's in it, so he used guns. So they had rules for guns and how that worked. Here we go. Here's talking about weapons. You have ranges. These ranges are in areas. They give you notes on special things about it. The damage. The way it's called the Phaser-Ip system. It stands for fighting, agility, strength, endurance, reason, intuition, and psyche. The first four being your more physical attributes, and your the last four more like your mental attributes, or your obviously intelligence would be reason, how well you reason something, your intuition, like having a sixth sense like Daredevil. You have a strong intuition. Spider-Man's spider sense would give him a strong intuition. And then you'd have psyche. So like somebody like Charles Xavier, Professor X, because he has his psychic ability. He has a very strong psyche. You can't break his mind. Or you had like resist domination, like it's a skill I believe in the game, but like certain, like the Hulk. I mean, it's hard to reason with the Hulk when he is rampaging, right? So to break his psyche takes a pretty strong feat. To get him to slow down, things like that. So that's the battle book pretty much. It talks about adventures. Talks about the adventure that comes in this book, or in this box set, Day of the Octopus. Again, they use comic book. It's all very comic booky. It's all black and white too. The only thing's the covers are color, but every interior page is black and white, which I prefer. I mean, I love beautiful artwork. Save it for the cover. Save it for a calendar. Save it for something. A nice map or something. Really, I just want the information. But I do like some artwork here and there, and I think this book settles it great. It uses black and white art, the simple line art, uncolored line art to for the visuals, and I love that. And for the company, it's very cheap. Now, I'll probably get into this also in another video, but how role-playing games have morphed over the years, and they do have a Marvel Superheroes game licensed by Marvel coming out soon. They don't use any of this system. They use a completely different system. It's all full color, and it is fully expensive. And again, I just find it kind of off-putting myself personally, growing up with this game. I think this game is perfection for the most part for what it is. I mean, it's got flaws, and it has problems with it, but I think it's perfection for what you're getting. Okay, the last page of most of the books, I think the first two books have the same thing in the back. This is what's called the Universal Table, and it's very simple. You've got your ability scores up top, and every ability score has a numerical value to it. So like something's good, it's 10. Excellent, it's 20. So if you do excellent damage, you're technically doing 20 points of health damage to something. Remarkable's 30. It kind of goes up the list. The basic set, I believe, Shift X, and they do have Class 1000 being the top, which is, you're talking like Celestials, Galactus. You're talking characters, Beyonder, characters that could hit those kind of attribute scores. And because of like the Celestials, the advanced set goes over up to Class 5000, I believe, which it's rare that you're ever going to encounter those in any of the modules. If you have to make specifically like a very epic level game with these Titan, these basic Titan characters. I think I know. So Hulk's weird. Hulk has an ability to where the madder he gets, the stronger he gets, but I think he ends up stopping at Class 1000. I don't think he can get any stronger than that, which would be just ludicrous, to be that strong. He'd be pretty much pounding any character. He could pound Thor into the ground and just turn him to dust at that level. So I believe he goes that high, but I think it might be going these shifts. These shifts work different. They get Shift X. I think there's Shift X, Y, and Z. But again, it gets more of that into the advanced stuff. You don't really get that. Most of the time, you're dealing with unearthly and lower. You know, monster or unearthly and lower. I think Silver Surfer's agility is an unearthly. Um, I think like I know Spider-Man has an amazing agility. So you're talking about that type of level. Even the Hulk, you know, or Thor. I think Thor has monstrous strength. Iron Man has incredible strength. He's the Incredible Iron Man. So what you do is here's your die roll on the side. Like I said, 1 through 100 on a percentile die. You would roll like let's say I rolled a 36, right? I got a 3 on the red die is my 10, so I said, okay, I get 36. I know there are percentile die now that have the double numbers on them, but back when the set came out, it was just 2 different colored 10-sided die. And let's say you got a 36, right? Well, in order to score it, let's say you're trying to fight somebody, just doing a slugfest, you're just punching somebody. You'd need, in order to hit somebody with, say, let's say your fighting ability, which is your F, your fighting ability, first one, and Phaser Rip, is a remarkable fighting ability. I think like Wolverine has remarkable fighting ability. I think Iron Man or Captain America might have incredible. So let's say you're Hulk or you're Wolverine and you're just gonna punch somebody, no claws. You roll a 36. You have a remarkable fighting ability. Well, you'd score hit, right? If you got into the yellows, you'd score a slam, which I believe does double damage. I believe it's been a while since I actually played the game. I think it's double damage is slam, and stun is you'd stun them. So it would affect. They'd have so many rounds that they'd be affected. And the rounds kind of work like any other game. You have a round of combat. So if they say like, oh, you know, you're stunned for 3 rounds, well, for 3 turns where you'd be able to do something, you're stunned. You can't do anything. Like I said, there are kills. There's no kill in a slugfest. Like hack and slash, obviously you got a knife or a sword. You could kill somebody with a kill maneuver. But again, you know, you would have to roll, even if you had unearthly fighting, right? And you were using let's say, I don't know what the Sword Master has, but let's say you're a Sword Master and you had unearthly fighting, which he doesn't have. You would have to roll an 86 or higher to score a kill, and I believe you have to literally tell the game master, which is your dungeon master, I'm trying to kill this character, right? Otherwise, you're pulling your punches at that point. You're using the flat side of your blade or whatever just to knock somebody out. So that, there are that. And then when you get into like agility of like shooting and throwing, which is pretty much just like Dungeons & Dragons, you're using your dexterity. Strength, feats of strength would be like to grapple somebody. Again, this is just like Dungeons and Dragons. To escape a grapple, to snatch something. Endurance would be like I'm going to charge at somebody and slam them or try to stun them. You had to be pretty tough to do that. Like, Thing or Rhino, somebody like that. So that's the universal table. I might only get to just the basics here, but here's the campaign book, which gives you all the rules for creating a campaign. Again, love the art. And the Spider-Man and the Watcher hanging out talking about this book. It's kind of funny. It's got comical scenes in it. Table of contents. This goes over like considered characters that would have certain ability scores. Like I said, when I say Wolverine has incredible fighting ability. So does Daredevil, Iron Fist, combines intelligence, experience, and ability into a powerful package. It just gives you enough fluff to justify the character's abilities and what they can do. So you can go through this type of thing. They do the classic heads of Marvel Comics, so I thought it's pretty cool to do that. And then you get into the abilities more. You get into magic, like if you're using Doctor Strange. There's not a lot of magic in there, but there are magic characters. It doesn't work like Dungeons and Dragons. It's different. Hardware, if you're using tech, vehicles like let's say like the X-Men Blackbird, or the not the Quinjet. What's the Fantastic car? You got I think it's the Helicarrier. Vehicles, Ghost Rider's motorcycle. Then you get into like Iron Man's armor and stuff like the tech, building things. Like Mr. Fantastic can make things. Yada yada yada. There's Herbie. Beep. This goes into stuff that comes. The Day of the Octopus is a good short module that basically gives you a taste of all this stuff. It goes into campaigns, and you don't really have experience in this point in this game. You don't really level up. Like the Hulk never gets better than the Hulk, really. If you're playing, you can. If this is if you want to play pre-generated characters, the characters of Marvel, which I think is more fun. I liked making up characters. I loved making up characters, but I realized as all my characters I made were very derivatives of characters that already existed. And to play the game, it's just like it didn't seem very Marvel at that point when you're playing like your character you made up. So I thought it was more fun. It's like, hey, I'm going to get the group of people together and you guys be the X-Men. We're going to go on an X-Men adventure. Or if you wanted to wanted to throw Spider-Man in with the X-Men or something. I liked that better. And like I said, you don't really level up those characters. They don't really get better, but they do get what's called karma. And karma works like this. You could spend karma to change your die rolls or change your feats or change some outcome. And a lot of times you can have a karma pool. So let's say your whole gaming group is playing the X-Men. One person would get, the, or you take everybody's karma and I won't get into super details, but karma is basically a combination of a bunch of different scores built up. And then you get a karma amount, and you could dump it into a pool. So that way somebody can use the karma pool if they need it or not, if you're working together as a group or a team. You lose karma if you do stuff like, hey, I accidentally killed somebody. I threw Dr. Octopus into the wall, and the wall came down and killed, the guy selling hot dogs, right? Or it ruined his hot dog stand. You would lose so much karma. I think killing somebody, I think it's on there, but it's probably one of the most severe ones. And then you could do things like, let's say you're Tony Stark and you have lots of money. Well, you're going to donate money to a cause. It gives you karma. So it's like karma, You do bad things, you get bad karma. You do good things, you get good karma. And then I think it goes into a lot of the powers. There's a whole section right here on creating your own character. Like I said, it was fun as a kid. I loved making up characters. I would sit around and just make up characters all afternoon instead of play the game. Thought that was fun. I draw my characters. But, it's fun to a point, and then it just gets kind of, if you're going to play the game, I'd rather be an X-Men, or I'd rather, let's play. Four of us are going to be each one of us is going to be one of the Fantastic Four. Here's a character sheet, which is in the inside back cover, I think, or last couple of pages. Last page, I believe, was the character sheet, which you could Xerox copy. Obviously the beauty of a PDF is you can just print this out. Pretty simple character sheet. So that's pretty much the set. They had miniatures by, I think they were TSR miniatures or Grenadier, I can't remember. But they did have 25 millimeter, those white metal figures. That's usually when they started using pewter. I had a few of these. They're really wonky figures, but I thought they're cool. I love the box, Dragon magazine. And then here's the Day of the Octopus module. I won't get into the details of it, especially if you want to play it sometime. Villains that show up, blah, blah, blah. These are the characters that they pre-chose that you can use if you don't use original characters for this specific one. I think it's you get pretty much all of the Fantastic Four. You get Wolverine. You get Captain America, you get Captain Marvel, the Monica Rambeau. I really liked her character. I just liked the look of her. Of course, obviously I liked the look of Wolverine, so it kind of drew me into comics in the first place. I like the Black Spider-Man better. Although I like the classic Spider-Man. It's cool, too. I really like the Black Spider-Man. So, and then at the back of their cards, you can cut these out. I did cut one set out, and the beauty with this is just get some cardstock, print it double-sided. All the PDFs are set up to print perfectly. And, you print it out, and you can, cut them up so you can hand every player, their character card if they're playing those characters. They got counters. And again, print this on card, double-sided, because they do, your civilian clothes on the other side, like Ben Grimm in his trench coat and hat, Peter Parker. And then you flip them over, and they're the characters. so you can print this out in cardstock and use this as counters instead of using miniatures. In my day, we didn't use a lot of miniatures. We painted miniatures for fun and to collect, but we really didn't use them much in the game. Most of the time, we either used Theater of the Mind, or if we did need to go to a battle map or something, we would use counters. I printed out main camera up. I printed out. There's a module that just has the counters in it, and I printed up some of those. Here's Galactus. And these fit pretty good. They're in pretty much scale. Here's a Sentinel. And then at the average, like here's Hulk's a little bigger. Let's take Hawkeye. Hawkeye's a regular human-sized guy. They have 3 different views of the character that you make in these little trifolds. You just give them a piece of tape or a piece of glue, put them together. Again, here's my dice I use in the game, black and white percentiles. Here's Thor. I still have a bunch of them falling apart. I gotta retape them. I still have a bunch of these that I still haven't cut out. It's Wolverine. And these work perfectly with the map. This, to me personally, I mean, this is very nostalgic too. But I mean, this is all you need. You don't really need to blow a lot of money on miniatures. If you really want to make a nice, beautiful looking game board, whatever. But, I'm more about the action of the game and the characters and stuff. And this is, these are fine for me. They give you the booklet, which is like almost like a module that you could get these in. Pretty much had every single character in, superfluous character from all of the modules throughout the basic line. So you just needed that one, and you'd have all the characters to use. These just came in the basic sets. You could use these. But all these characters, for the most part, I mean, they don't have like the Beat Cop and, the Turk. Some of these, background characters. There's the map. This is the main city map. Oh, actually, I can't see any of this. So here's the main map. It comes with the box set, and you've got the stores. So if you notice, these little squares, they're not, I don't know exactly how big they are. They're like 2 by 2 inches, but they're the areas. So like if you go into Central Park here, I guess this is supposed to be Rathbone Park. If you're in this area, you can put your little counters in this area. Those are the people in that area. So they're in range for, a slugfest. They want to shoot a guy over here with a blast of electricity, and he has the range. He can fire it 1, 2, 3 blasts away. That's how you count the range for that. Say people are hiding, coming out of the water here, hiding in these trees. You got to detect them. It's just like any other role-playing game. And then, of course, on the inside, some of these buildings, they would blow up on the inside, and you would have, like, the interiors of the building. And you can see it's close quarters. I mean, you get the Hulk in one of these little rooms. He starts throwing bodies around, or throwing objects around. He's going to start bashing through walls, I think there's, like, there's rules for how many walls you could fly through, if you're slammed. So you can really make a mess of the map, being superheroes. And that's pretty much the main core of the box set. Now, I've gone the full 28 minutes talking about that, so let me talk just for a few more minutes. How do I get out of this again? I can't remember. The Control F7? I can't remember. How do we get out of this? Here we go. I say here's all my PDFs of the stuff. This is all the basic set. If you can see it here, up until the last module in the set is TSR 6870, which is Marvel Heroes, Accessory 9, Realms of Magic, which goes into detail about magic and Doctor Strange and that type of world. Last module, I think, is the Secret Wars 2. So the nice thing is they had Secret Wars modules, which I have. Outside of the main box, which I did get rid of, I do have all of my... most of these are my originals. My original ones I had as a kid of the modules. First one being one of my personal favorites, Breeder Bomb with the X-Men. You know, I've got the PDF for it here. But this Breeder Bomb, which is a pretty good one. Magneto's the main baddie in this one, and you get to fight. You get to go to Russia and stuff. It's pretty cool. Judge's screen, you know. So if you're the judge, which is like I guess that's it's the judge is the game master. You got a judge's screen. It's got your Universal's tables front and back, so players can see it, you can see it. If you need to reference it, gives you a little guide to New York City. Gives you some of the most important, you know, stuff like any other Dungeon Master's screen. Got that on there. I was trying to sell these at one point in a garage sale for like 50 cents a piece. Nobody bought them, so I kept them, which is good because they're not 50 cents anymore. I remember what the cover price on some of these were. They're like $5, $4.95 or something like that, or $5.95 when I bought these originally. Time Trap has your Avengers. Every module focuses on like a comic series. These are cool. There's a few of these in the line. These were basically character folios. Like, you know me, I love my character folios, which eventually, it's just like the Marvel Universe. Gives you all the stats of a character. This is Avengers Assemble, so this is every Avenger. And then it gives some map. A lot of the stuff is in the handbook, the official handbook. But they give you like the Avengers Mansion, the various rooms and stuff. Murder World is cool, and the cool thing is at this time. Now, see, here's the thing. This is why She-Hulk became one of my favorite characters. I love the look of her. You know, I liked everything. I like this drawing of her actually, but I love my favorite is She-Hulk in the Fantastic Four costume. It's my favorite. And at this time, when I was reading the comics and buying these modules, She-Hulk was John Byrne doing She-Hulk, and because Ben Grimm was in another dimension or galaxy. I can't remember where he went, but he was not in it. So the big tough in Fantastic Four was She-Hulk, and was in all these. So that's pretty much where I started falling in love with that character. Was from these and the Fantastic Four. Here are the fold ups. So that's how they come. I'm not gonna print these out. I never did. I never printed out my original. I always just some of them came in the advanced set. That's where I printed. I cut those ones up, but I never cut up the originals. And now I've got a PDF, so I can just print them out whenever I want. If I need more, or if I wreck a few, I can always print more out. Cat's Paw, I love Alpha Flight. Well, at least like the first 30 issues of Alpha Flight when Byrne was on it. It was okay as it went. Like I liked Vindicator. I liked Heather Hudson's character, but and I like Box. But Cat's Paw was a cool what do you call it? Alpha Flight module, and there's some character cards for the Alpha Flight characters. Really like that. Pit of the Vipers is cool. It's a Hydra adventure, and they give you it's a self-contained. This is stuff I wish they'd still do. It's a self-contained module, but it also gives you all of the paper, the paper craft fold up. It shows you how to fold them up of all of the stuff that you can use as game pieces, and you make this control room where a lot of the action takes place, and they give you an adventure, the Pit of the Vipers, which talks about it, and it's all in scale with all the counters, so it's they give you some more counters for the ones that are in this game or this particular adventure. I love stuff like this. Again, these were like $5 or $6 back in the day. Let's even adjust for inflation. Let's say they're $20 today. Or $19.99 a piece, maybe $24.99 for a bigger one. Like this is kind of a bigger one, I think. Oh no, I ended up with an extra map somehow, doubles. I don't know how I got it. I hope I didn't steal somebody's map, but I ended up with an extra map for some reason. This is cool module. This is all like your Hell's Kitchen guys, all your street level people. Luke Cage, Iron Fist. I love this Black Widow, Daredevil. Called Lone Wolves. This was a great module. And of course here of course was, and also I have an extra. I think I ended up finding an extra somewhere, but it didn't have the map. But this is my original, which has the map. Secret Wars, and most just like any module back in those days, the booklet came out, and then you could use your. This is a game screen if you don't have the game screen, which has information on it. But this is the Secret Wars, and it follows pretty much Secret Wars, and it's cool if you wanted to play that scenario from that comic book. You could do this, and that was the cool thing is there were lots of awesome story arcs and awesome comic books that we turned into adventures. I mean, it was perfect. It was like we already have the rules for all the characters. We just got to get somebody to, kind of put it together, and we could do Follow the Mutants. We could do Gang Wars. We could do, whatever, Inferno. Anything at that time, we could do the play it out and see if it goes differently. Project Wide Awake was like the Avengers Assemble is the folio of all the X-Men characters. It's got X-Force in there. You got the Hellions, not X-Force. I'm sorry, New Mutants. I don't even believe X-Factor was out. No, because X-Factor came out in '86 when the advanced set came out. This was before X-Factor was even out. The comic. Thunder over Jotunheim, which is the Thor one. This was one of my personal favorites. You like I love Black Spider-Man. If you liked Spider-Man at that time, this was New York, New York. Now this was cool because it gave you not only a new map of New York, it also gave you a character folio of all of the Spider-Man's rogues gallery, like Silvermane and Rhino, and then it gave you the adventure, and like Jack-o'-lantern was in it. I believe Hobgoblin was in it, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's in there. So, like, let's say you're just reading Gang Wars, and you were like, Gang Wars, this would be a great module for that time. Last Resort, do you like West Coast Avengers? There they are, West Coast Avengers, pretty sweet. As you can see on the screen, I've got PDFs for all these, but these ones I actually have the physical copies of, so, I don't really need to print out any of those unless I need, like, just information from one of them, or print out some character cards or something, but, at that, again, they took New York, New York, and they kind of expanded on it, and they made Concrete Jungle, which is cool. It's got the cover of Web of Spider-Man #1 on it. The Punisher. It really goes into the street level characters, all of the Spider-Man mythos. I think most of the Serpent Society's in there. They cover characters, that, lots of obscure ones too. Got like Mr. Fear, or Molten Man. I mean, I think by the time this entire series was finished, they had every character, almost, I would say probably 90% of the characters in the Marvel Universe were brought to the game with stats. Fault Line, again, another Avengers with Spider-Man guest star. And then the last module of the basic set, which came out when the comic came out, was Secret Wars 2, with the Beyonder. And I was there for Secret War 2. Love that comic, too. It wasn't as good as Secret Wars 1, but it's still good, I think. A lot of people don't like it. I like it. Again, just like Secret Wars 1, the module, took the comic and made it into an adventure. So, that's the basic set. And that's all the basic stuff. As you can see here, like, I'll get into... This is 1986 when the advanced set came out. And I was collecting this stuff and sort of playing it. I really wasn't... I have a weird relationship with all role-playing games, but specifically this one I had kind of a weird relationship. The bulk of my playing of Marvel superheroes was in 86 plus. In the first part of 8th grade in 86, I met a kid who we played a lot. And then I switched schools in between the school year. And when I switched school, I met one of my best friends. And we played it a lot. And it was like our game. And it was, we played it pretty much all the rest of junior high, which was only till the end of 8th grade. And then into high school, we played it pretty good. A lot of summers I remember of doing Marvel superheroes. I mean, it was the perfect game at the perfect time. Again, a lot of I keep saying this over and over again. A lot of the stuff it all happened at the perfect time. And, I guess you could say that for any generation in whatever pop culture, but for what I like, And for that time period, this stuff all kind of happened all at the same time, or all at perfect time for us. And this was one of them. I mean, reading comics, playing this game, drawing comic books, because I'll get into it through all this time I was drawing all this stuff, and really cutting my teeth on the Marvel way. I'll bring up a book too on that, and I loved it. I mean, this was I cared about this more than I cared about any schoolwork. This was the thing I was obsessed with. I mean, I was obsessed with a lot of things in the 80s, but this was one of the heavy ones, was Marvel superheroes. To this day, I'm extremely nostalgic for it. I'd love to play it and get a group of people, of like-minded people, you know, maybe not necessarily younger people. I don't even think my son maybe is a little older, he might like it. But I'd love to get people of my generation, my age, who strongly and know these characters and play this game. And it'd be great if they never played before, because they'd be introducing them to it. You know, if they played before, great too. You know, got some experienced people there. But I've been dying to play this game with a group of people that I enjoy. It's hard just randomly playing with strangers. I'd have to really get to know people to play this, because this means so much to me. So it's not like just a random, flavor of the week role-playing game. I'd have to have the right people to play this game with me. And unfortunately, at this stage in everybody's life, a lot of the people that would be perfect and have played with me before, they've got their own lives to live, and they don't have the time for it. Maybe in the future, hopefully, I'll get to play it again. But as far as the 80s go, and me personally, and stuff that formed, my love and passion for all this stuff, this is a key item. Like I said, I obviously it's got to be a two-parter, because I have to go into the advanced set. I'll do that later. I'm not going to do it back-to-back with this. I'll do it later. I'll bring it up. But I wanted to touch on this because I'm probably going to reference this a lot in other videos for other things. Just like I reference like the Marvel Universe. I'll reference, the book I'm talking about, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. I'll reference a lot of these things. And so if you guys have seen these videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're not familiar with the stuff, And of course, if you guys have any questions about any of this stuff, I mean, I got plenty of knowledge on this stuff. Ask me. If you got any questions, I'll talk about it. I love talking shop about this stuff. Obviously, I love talking shop on this stuff. So, hit me in the comments. I know my email's in there too. Email me, got questions, we'll talk. Maybe we'll get on Discord and have a discussion about it. But I definitely went over. This is probably my longest video, and I assume it would be. So I will catch you guys tomorrow on episode 13. Again, I'm not going to do a follow-up to this tomorrow. I'll do something different, so we'll see what that is. I'll probably know at the last minute. I kind of had to do a lot of stuff today, so getting to this, I kind of flying by the seat of my pants with this. That's why it's gone. Well, it would have went this long anyways. Okay, well, I'll end it there, and we'll take it back up with the next subject. All right, talk to you guys later. Take care.